day, an individual was in town, and they wanted to meet with me that I know well, and they are a high-level manager in the TSA. And I went and met with them and had a cup of coffee with them. And they said, you got to warn people. Tuesday, we got called in, the managers, and told that by the middle of September, that the new policy is being written, that this is done. They were told this is happening. This is not hypothetical. You will all have to wear masks again, and so will airport employees. Then by the middle of October, they are going to say that everyone flying has to wear a mask. And in the meetings, people began to ask them, well, I mean, why is this happening? They said, well, because of the new variant in Canada and because of the WHO, they may, declare this, but regardless, we've been told this is going to happen. And then they were told, we expect by December a return to the full COVID protocol of 2020, 2021. And I was given many more details. I wrote down notes on it. Then I left. Called the first federal connection that I was thinking of. Didn't answer. Called the second. Answered. Told them what I've been told, and they said, what day was that? I said, Tuesday. They said, yep, we were told yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday, so it was Wednesday. Expect COVID protocols to begin rolling out middle of September. And I said, what else were you told? Basically that they believe this new variant's super bad and that they're doing the testing and that they should just get ready for a whole new rollout of what happened before. And this was Border Patrol connected people I was talking to, and testing at the border again and the whole shooting match. That's two federal agents that told me this yesterday. And then I went and looked at the news, and there they were saying Canada's looking at new restrictions again because of the variant, and so is the EU. And what did the Russians just put out 3 days ago? U.S. is plotting another pandemic. Russian head of the defense ministry warns. Now, new lockdowns will starve the third world. New lockdowns will destroy small businesses. New lockdowns will take the average person that's already $5,000 in the hole and their paycheck is just on time. We'll put them into full bankruptcy. And the children in the mask and the attempt to push a new shot with a new variant, and we're right back in the same hellhole we were in just a few years ago. And why is it perfect timing? Because you go into the election year, they had the last crisis go over 2.5 years. They'll bare minimum run this through the next election. That's only 14, 15 months out with mail-in ballots again. And we have all the eyewitnesses and testimony that they'd get the mail-in ballots, and in some cases they were 99% for Joe Biden. Who believes that? And then you've got right in the middle of all of this, a new COVID rollout. And I was very specific with both people. I said, to be clear, did they say this was hypothetical? No, we asked that. We said, how do you know? And they said, well, we can see with the testing, it's going up. It's already really bad. I talked to Dr. Stella Emanuel yesterday about this. I said, are you seeing increases? She said, yeah, it's the COVID shots. We're actually seeing record death, record illness in Houston, where she has a huge practice, medical doctor, compared to the height of the so-called last pandemic.
COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations are on the rise, and health officials are pointing to a new variant, EG.5, also nicknamed Eris. So what do we know about it, and should we be worried? The World Health Organization classifies EG.5 as a variant of interest that should be carefully watched. Eris is a subvariant of the Omicron lineage that originally emerged in November 2021. But despite mutations that might make the variant more severe and contagious, the WHO says Eris currently does not seem to pose more of a threat to public health than other variants. As of the 8th of August, Eris has been found in more than 50 countries. That's according to the WHO. It is the most common and fastest growing COVID subvariant in the United States. According to the CDC, it's estimated to be responsible for around 17% of all current cases.
Discordianism is designed to be a contradictory parody religion where chaos is believed to be just as important as order. Standing as the main deity of this religion is Eris, the Greek goddess of strife, chaos, and disagreements, or discord. It was around 1959 when Malaclips the Younger and Lord Omar Khayyam Ravenhurst would develop this religion based on their published text, the Principia Discordia. There are three key elements here: the goddess Eris, Discordianism, and the Principia Discordia. So, let me tell you a story. And the very first thing you should all keep in mind is that this goddess is the spirit of chaos, strife, and discord, none of which are good things. And she walks around with a dagger in her bosom. And these are all the attributes of a troublemaker. In other words, this goddess's existence is purely based on going around creating chaos. Once upon a time, there was to be a great royal wedding between King Peleus and Thetis, who was a water nymph, daughter to the sea god Nereus. Zeus and the other gods and goddesses were all invited, except for Eris and her son Strife, who were intentionally omitted from the list, not so much because of Eris and her ways of conjuring up drama, but because of her son Strife. Now this was quite vexing to Eris, and so she would come up with a plan to ruin the wedding. So, during the wedding, in the midst of the celebration, Eris threw into the crowd a golden apple, marked with the word Callisti, for the most beautiful or most fairest. And three of the goddesses, Aphrodite, Athena, and Hera, each believed that they should be the one to have it. And of course, a quarrel began between the goddesses, just as Eris had planned. So since they could not decide who should receive the award, they called upon someone who would judge them unbiasedly, the Prince of Troy, Paris. Now each of the goddesses attempted to coerce Paris into choosing them over the other, with bribes. Hera offered Paris power, Athena offered him wisdom, but Aphrodite of course made him an offer he couldn't refuse, the most beautiful woman in the world. And so he took that deal swiftly. Turns out though, the most beautiful woman in the world was already married. Helen was her name, a Spartan woman, by the way. And after being taken or abducted by Paris anyway, despite her marriage to the city of Troy, Menelaus, her husband, wanted her back by any means and was able to rally up enough support and battleships to wage a war, the Trojan War. So Discordianism is the religion that hails Eris, which is why Discordians are also referred to as Erisians. It is a religion without rules and that values chaos, disorder, and disagreements. This is the symbol of Discordianism, the sacred cow, the yin-yang with the pentagon and the golden apple of Discordia, representing the balance of order and chaos. There are 5 levels of chaos: chaos, discord, confusion, bureaucracy, and aftermath. Discordians are free to delve into other religions. They do not hold authority over one another, and at times Discordians may carry around cards identifying them as a pope that no one has control over. They may often use the terms Hail Eris or Discordia, and they may be fond of the word ethnord, which some believe is a trigger word for fear, but has no real true sensible meaning. Those of you who know the character of Anonymous, that is a pretty fair example of Discordian beliefs, the Church of Subgenius, Pastafarianism, Church of Slack, the United Church of Bacon. There are several parody religious movements that officially and unofficially represented something that was not much intended to be a joke.
All the signs were already there, and I instantly got on my desktop and pulled a bunch of articles where they're already prepping it. So I don't just have this from 2 federal officers. I have this directly from the UN and the Canadian government and the Australian government. And it deals with a lot of things.
Hey, so tell me if this sounds familiar. New COVID vaccines from Pfizer, Moderna, and Novavax will likely protect against Eris variant. New COVID vaccines from Pfizer, Moderna, and Novavax will likely provide protection against the new Eris variant, now the dominant strain of the virus in the U.S. The drug makers designed their updated coronavirus shots to target the Omicron subvariant XBB.1.5, which is slowly declining nationwide. All 3 companies are still waiting for the Food and Drug Administration to approve their vaccines, meaning those jabs won't be available to the public for a month or so. Wow. So one thing that's interesting to me is that they all of a sudden have a vaccine created for this so-called new variant that's out there. I just hope that everyone is paying attention, because this totally sounds and seems like it's pre-planned. And I just want you guys to know what's out there so we can avoid getting any more jabs than what we've already been given. We already know those vaccines weren't very beneficial towards people's being sick. So just keep a watch out. And